Hi friends, welcome back to the channel.
I've been talking to Santa and he's
Thank you for clicking on today's video. If you are new here, hi, I'm Jasmine and we basically talk all things books over here. We yap about books all day. But if you saw by that title, saw by that thumbnail, y'all, I am doing a November wrap up. And honestly, I don't know when the last time I did a wrap up. I think it may have been like 2 months ago. Yeah, I'm sorry, my hair is like really not on my side today and I'm not feeling it. It's like kind of pissing me off today. But yes, I am doing my wrap up for November, and I'm gonna put my phone on silent because it's kind of rude, y'all. The fact that my phone is on silent and I'm still getting sound notifications is about to piss me off. Oh, it's my dang iPad. That's what y'all hearing. Let me put it on do not disturb because that's just kind of rude. But yes, so I am doing my November wrap up and I'm doing it kind of late. I'm sorry, but better late than never, right? I'm gonna let y'all know now, your girl has been in such a big reading slump like since December started. So December, I don't know if y'all gonna get a wrap up. If y'all do, it's gonna be like 3 minutes long and it's gonna literally be me reading one book, and it's probably gonna be the same book that I'm currently reading right now. But for the month of November, let's see how many books I read. I think I read 10, maybe 11, let's see. And some were short stories, so we're gonna keep that in mind as well. I read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I read 12 books, okay. But literally 3 of them were like short stories, so you know. But yeah, overall I did have a good chunk of 5 stars actually this month. I feel like I was a little lenient with my 5 stars, but also like they were actually really good books. Like I'll explain when. Yeah, this month, let's just say this month my ratings was like a little bit more lenient. I don't know, because it was like I was like, oh, like in between a 4 and a 5, and like if I gave it a 4.75, I just rounded up to a 5. So yeah, but without further ado, let's get into the books that I read. The first book I read, which a lot of these I'm gonna have to put the cover here because I don't have, yeah, I only have a few of them, like the physical books. So so yeah, if I don't have it, I'll put it here as always. So the first book I read was Falling in Love by Erin Branscombe. And I actually read this with the Sweeney readers. This was their, was it the November pick? Yeah, I think it was the November pick. So yeah, I read this, and guys, it was like perfect fall rom-com vibes, and I gave it a 3-star. It wasn't like anything to write home about, but it was like literally, it was like for the vibes. The romance was just like, you know, it was like swoony, like you just want to like giggle and kick your feet. And I will say, if you like this book, or if you like the movie Falling in Love on Netflix, I definitely think you should read this, because that's, so I read the book, and the book and the movie are not correlated, but it's on Netflix and it's with Christina Milian. And I read the book first, and I was just scrolling on Netflix after I had watched the Christmas movie that she's in, and that popped up as a recommendation. So I was like, at first I was like, oh my gosh, this related to the book, but it wasn't. But it was still so good. So if you have watched that movie, then I definitely think you'll like the book. Or even if you like the book, I think you'll like the movie. If you're just looking for the perfect like rom-com, they'll make you laugh and just give you like, you know, you just chilling, you vibing out. You're not looking for something that's gonna break your heart apart, you know. So I definitely recommend it. It's basically about the main female character. She is pretty much like, it's not, I'm not gonna say escaping from her life, but just kind of taking a break. She's been through a very traumatic experience, and so she ends up staying, well, her car breaks down and she ends up having to stay in this small town where this man owns an inn, and you can put the pieces together from there. Literally rom-com. And yeah, it's there's dogs involved, so y'all already know if a book has dogs involved already, it's already got my attention. So yeah, I love all the characters that we get to meet. It is a series. I think there's like, y'all, I think there's like 7 books. No, there's 6 books. Yeah, there are 6 books in the series, and each one focuses on like different characters, and so you do meet the character that the second book is about. So I don't know if I'm gonna read the second book, but yeah, that's where we're at. Like I said, I gave that one 3 stars. And then the next book I read, this is so weird not to have the books. Okay, no, I do have this book though. So I did start a new series, which I don't think this one was on my list, but then I ended up swapping it out because I was supposed to read Light Lark. But then I was like, well, I'm starting this one, so I'm just gonna switch out Light Lark in this one. So the book is Belladonna by Adeline Grace, and I read this one with some of the book besties, and guys, this was so good. It did take me a minute to get into it, I'm not gonna lie to you, and it took me a little longer to read it than I thought it would. But overall, once like I just like sat down, clocked in, and was like, okay, you're gonna focus on this book, I truly enjoyed my time reading this book. I gave it a 4-star. And this is like gothic fantasy, but like, yeah, I guess you could say like gothic fantasy. And it is the main character, Lord, what's her name? Signa. She essentially like beats death every time she like tries to take her life. And she does it more so now because she's like, can I beat it again? Can I beat it again? And there's this plant called a belladonna that like essentially is like supposed to kill you if you take it. And so yeah, and death is like actually like, obviously death is death, but death is also this person that she ends up like having physical conversations with. And yeah, that's like that's like the most I can say. She is an orphan, so she's like, her parents passed and then her grandmother passed, so she ended up going from family member to family member. And so the family that has now decided to foster her, which is like relatives to her or like distant relatives, they have also just lost the one person that was related to her. And so now she's in this house and she doesn't know any of these people. She's like, the one person I was related to in this family is dead now. And so she ends up like kind of trying to figure out what happened. Like there's a little bit of a mystery here. And you're trying to figure out like what's going on, but also like you get to see her and Death's like connection grow. And like see how they kind of like help each other out throughout the process. So I definitely recommend if you're looking for, I wouldn't say it's high stakes, but in a sense it is kind of high stakes, but like it wasn't like my blood was like pumping. Like it wasn't like you going like how you go into Fourth Wing or you go into like a SJM book. It was still very much like cozy in a sense, but like also you still had that thrilling aspect, if that makes sense. But like I said, I gave that one 4 stars. And then the next book, which once again I don't have, but it's called Only in Your Dreams by Madison Wright. Let me tell you, when I was reading this, I never remember this title. I remember I was talking to friends and I'm like, I'm reading that one book that go to this one book. I could not remember this title for nothing. I do not know why, but it is the second book in the Off the Beaten Path. Well, really the series is not called Off the Beaten Path, but the first book is called Off the Beaten Path. And I think I did do a wrap up that month. It was a small town. And so this one focuses on the best friend of the main male character in the first book and also his sister. So it's essentially like a best friend, sisters, and brother's best friend kind of thing going on there. Because they're both connected to this one person, which is the main male character in the first book. And so the main male character is like kind of known as just like a playboy. And not necessarily like by choice. He's just like, you know, he's dating, he's trying to find his person, and unfortunately it just translates into him being a little playboy. And whereas the main female character, she thought she had life figured out, she thought she had met her person, she thought she was about to get married, and it just went south. And so he is the one, her brother's best friend is the one that is there to console and comfort her and just remind her who she is. And you just get to see they've always had a friendship, obviously, because her brother and him have been friends since grade school, literally high school, whatever. But yeah, they have been in each other's lives. They're usually like banter. They usually are like always arguing, and so you get to see their friendship kind of change, and like him basically like being there for her, and like helping remind her that like, hey, like just because he didn't, you know, see your worth, or he's doing this, like doesn't mean that you're not worthy. So it was just so cute, and obviously it's a romance, so you know, take that with what you will. But yeah, I truly enjoyed it. I did not enjoy it as much as I enjoy Off the Beaten Path. And yeah, y'all, I'm just constantly messing with my hair because I just feel like it looks insane right now, and I'm so sorry. Like, I'm looking in the viewfinder and I'm just like, I feel like this looks crazy. Like, I'm so sorry, y'all. I'm so sorry. But yeah, so I think I gave that one 3 stars. Yeah, I gave it 3 stars. Not in saying that I read it twice. I did not read this book twice, y'all. Let me delete a session because I'm looking on. Okay, I was like, wait, I did not read this book twice. So yeah, it's supposed to be like a rom-com. I definitely think I did laugh out loud a few times, so yeah, definitely recommend that one. And then the next book I read, which was, I was so excited to read this book. I actually read the first one the month of October, and I actually did a video. Yeah, I did my it was my 24-hour reading vlog, so if you have not watched that, definitely go watch that if you want to see my thoughts on the first book. But I read the duology, so I read the second book of Two Twisted Crowns. Y'all, I was about to say, is this the wrong book? But I read the second book in the like One Dark Window duology. So the second book is Two Twisted Crowns, and this is also like a little gothic fantasy, dark, you know. I guess I was just in that kind of mood for the month of November, and it did not disappoint. I did give it 5 stars, y'all. I was actually doing sprints with some friends, and literally they were like talking like we were supposed to come back from the sprint, and I was literally on camera, head buried into this book, like trying to finish it. Like, 5 stars, hands down. I'm still speechless about how it ended. I really wish we could get another book. I mean, it ended in a way like, I feel like it can go, like, I know well, to my knowledge, we're not getting another book, but like, I feel like she could definitely write a 3rd book. Like, I would just love to see life like after how this book ended. Like, kind of like when they say, you know, you just want to kind of see life after everything happens. Like, I think it would literally just be for the fans. Like, it wouldn't be for the plot. It would literally be just for the fans. And I would so totally, she would have me seated reading that book. Like, absolutely loved it. I don't want to spoil it because like I said, it is a duology. You do have to read the first book first because they go hand in hand. But this one picks up exactly where the first book left off, and now they are still trying to reunite the cards to lift the mist, and they are just really, they go on an adventure to try to get these cards. So a lot of the book, you are going through like this adventure with them, but you also get to see other point of views. So we got 2 different like storylines kind of going. You got one group of people that's like on this adventure, and then you have another group of people that's back at the castle, and they are dealing with other repercussions. So definitely a lot of action, a lot of emotions flying, and a lot of adrenaline. So yeah, but like I said, 5 stars, absolutely loved it, hands down. I'm so glad that I finally gave into that book. I don't know why I took so long to finally read it, but I do not regret finally diving into that book. Next 2 books I read was actually part of the Under the Mistletoe collection that Amazon did for the holidays. So if you guys remember, in February they did one for Valentine's Day where they had authors write little short stories. So they did it for Christmas time this year, and I was so excited. I was like, this is perfect, like perfect little filler books to like help me get through my TBR. So I read the first book, which was Cruel Winter by Ali Hazelwood. I would put the cover here. Very shocked. I gave this 5 stars, y'all, and I don't know what I expected out of Ali Hazelwood, so I shouldn't really be surprised. But I absolutely ate this up. I ate this up in one sitting. It was so good. I mean, literally, what can you get out of it was less than 100 pages, but whatever you can get out of it, I got out of it. Like, it was literally just I think the two characters, like, it was for me, it was like well fleshed out for it to be such a short book. Like, we got to know a lot about the characters, and we also got to see like a full rounded story kind of with them too, in a sense of like flashbacks almost, or like just history of them talking. And so like, I don't feel like I was cheated out of a story. Like, obviously, like if it was longer, we would have got more like of their before and their after and things like that, and then just like other people around. But like, since it's a short story, it was just focused on them too. And I don't know, I just, like I said, I didn't feel cheated out of like a storyline. So like, I didn't feel like I just got a chapter out of a long book. So yeah, I gave it 5 stars. And like I said, Allie Hazelwood is always going to deliver. I just love her writing, and I love the characters. I love the main female character. She did get on my nerves a little bit, but I was like, you get on my nerves because you're too much like me. So yeah. Then the second book I read, which is also a part of that little series, is Merry Ever After by Tessa Bailey, and I actually gave this one a 3 stars. So literally just how I said I didn't feel cheated out of Allie Hazelwood's, I felt cheated out of Tessa Bailey's. Even though like it was still a story, but it seemed so instantaneous. Like, it was very, what do you call faster than insta love? Like, what would you call faster than insta love is what I would call this book. And I truly felt like I'd like legit just got like, it read as if like it was like almost a chapter out of one book, but like in the same way, like it was a full storyline, like pushed together. And I don't know which end of the spectrum I would have rather have it on, but it just didn't hit like the first one. I did read them back to back, so that could have been a reason too. I'm like, I was so off a high off reading the first one that when I got to the second one, it just like did not deliver as well as the first one. But yeah, I mean, it still, I mean, you know, it still was, I think more so I love the vibes of the book versus like the actual plot of the book, at least for that one, for me personally. So yeah, but do what you will with that. Definitely recommend reading it if you just need like a little filler book. But okay, the next book I read, I actually gave this one 5 stars, and this one had me sobbing in my bed at 3 o'clock in the morning and sending voice memos to my friend Nikki, because she was the one who told me to read this book. And Nikki, if you're watching this, thank you for the heartbreak that you caused by me reading this book, but I also love you because this book was literally perfection. So this book is The Fabric of Our Souls by K.M. Moronova, I think is how you say her name. I'm so sorry if I said that wrong, but y'all, this book is so good. And it says he craves life, she craves death. So it is focused like it's focused in a mental hospital where this main female character and the main male character become roommates. This mental hospital is very much like volunteered, like very expensive to stay in. It's not your average mental hospital. The rules, like a lot of the rules are not present in this one. I don't even know if there's real mental hospitals like this, but basically it's co-ed. Boys and girls stay in the same room. Like, literally think about like when people say they want a grippy sock vacation, I think this is literally what they think. Like, at least this is what I think a mental hospital will be like, and I know it ain't like that at all. I ain't never been to a mental hospital, so I really can't tell you what exactly go on. But yeah, this is like, you know, I think we all done been guilty of wanting a grippy sock vacation every now and again, but this is what I would have envisioned. But yeah, so I think I just said that, but it says he craves life, she craves death. So you have 2 people. You have one, the main male character, he wants to feel everything. He is struggling because he feels nothing, and that leads to self-harm, and obviously it's a domino effect of things. And then you have the main female character, and she feels everything and she does not want to feel. So obviously that leads to wanting to not be on earth anymore. And so you have 2 opposites, but also the same. Like, they're both willing to go to the extremes to either feel or not feel. And you get to see that flesh out. You get to see how he is like so desperately trying to understand her, and he's also this person that feels like he's a fixer because his best friend that's also in the hospital is pretty much the same as her. And it's so funny to see her and his best friend create a friendship that he's like, I don't understand y'all. Whereas like, you know, you guys, like, he's like, you get this opportunity to feel, and I'm just like not feeling anything. So yeah, it's dark. There's also moments where I laughed. It's sad, and definitely make sure you're in the right headspace to read something like this. I kind of feel like the same way I felt about Darling Venom in 2023 is the same way I feel about this book, where it is really good. The romance is nice. It's great to like get out of your head, but also kind of get into the mind space of people who, I guess you can say, kind of think like you. If you have struggled with mental health, if you guys know, like, I struggle with anxiety, depression, like, baby, all the things. Therapy has got me through. And so this, like, I think with the way my mind works, like stepping out of my own mind and stepping into these characters' minds, like, it was a sense of comfort, but also you have to take care, like, you definitely have to take care of yourself mentally, like, reading these books, because it can go up or down, north or south. I always see people say south, but can people say north? I don't, y'all get what I'm saying though. But like I said, absolutely loved it. I felt for the characters, and I cannot wait to read the second one. The second one is called The Phantoms. It's called The Phantoms. I got it. It's on my shelf over there because I was like, oh, like, I like this book this much, like, I gotta get the second one. It's called A Battle of Phantoms and Hope, I think is what it's called. Yeah. And so literally, like, the dedication, and this is literally like how I would explain the book. It was like for the broken ones who are in need of something dark, morbid, and beautiful. Like, that is literally what this book was. It delivered, and I absolutely ate it up. And if you can't, I think I already said that, but I gave it 5 stars. And yeah, it's also on KU, so if you're interested in reading it and don't want to buy the paperback, definitely check it out on KU. But like I said, be kind to yourself and make sure you're just in the headspace to I guess be able to listen and feel these characters' feelings. But okay, next book I read was All by My Elf, which is also a book in the Under the Mistletoe collections from Amazon. So this is the 3rd book, and it is by Olivia Dade. I'll put the cover here. And that's how I feel about the book. What did I read? What was this book about? Y'all, I gave it 2 stars. I'm so sorry. Y'all, I'm just being so honest. I just don't remember what this book was about. I really don't. I'm gonna have to go look at the reviews. But I gave it 2 stars. So do with that what you will. But okay, the next book I read was The Cinnamon Bun Bookstore by Lori Gilmore. So I read The Pumpkin Spice Cafe back in September. So I was like, I need to read this one because you guys saw my TBR for December, the holiday books I want to read. You know, I want to read the Christmas one that's right after this one. And with this reading slump I'm in, we're gonna see if I get to it. But I did read this. I did finish this one so I could read that one, read the 3rd one this month. But yeah, I read this one and I gave it 4 stars. I actually, unpopular opinion, I think I like this more than the Pumpkin Spice Cafe. And I'm gonna tell you, I think the plot was just a little bit more fleshed out. The Pumpkin Spice Cafe, strictly, like, the plot was there, but I was like more so like it was just giving the pumpkin spice vibes that I needed. It was giving the fall vibes I wanted. But this one, like, the plot, like, the vibes were still there, but also like the plot line was just like chef's kiss. Like, it wasn't like this you know, well-rounded plot or anything like that, but it was like, I feel like I was more invested in the characters in this one. And I think because I related to the main female character, like she's a book girly, she's very introverted, you know, she does her thing, and you know, a lot of the same questions that she had, I think a lot of us have. And you know, you got the main male character who's like this person who's not known for serious relationships, and she's about to turn 30, so she's like, I just want to like finally do something reckless for me in my 20s. And so she basically decides to have him tag along and help her experience the last few weeks of her 20s. And so yeah, I don't know, I think it was just so much more spontaneous. Like I said, I did still enjoy the Pumpkin Spice Cafe. I think I gave it 3 stars, but I gotta say this one I enjoyed a little bit more, and so it got 4 stars out of me. Don't hate the messenger. I'm just telling y'all. I don't know if you've read it and which one did you like better, because I've heard both. I've heard people say they like that one better. I've heard people say they like the Pumpkin Spice Cafe better. But for me, the Pumpkin Spice Cafe was literally just strictly for vibes. Like, that's what I got out of it, you know. It is what it is. Okay. So, I'm gonna save the next book I read. I'm gonna save that one for last, but then I'm gonna go over other 2 books, because I think this is the last book. This book that I was about to talk about, that's the book that put me in a slump, I'm pretty sure. So let's go over these. So the next book I read was A Court of Frost and Starlight. This was actually a reread. I think I already told you guys, but I'm doing a reread with some friends on a Fable. And so it's so funny because my aunt and her friend call this the blue book, and so now every time I think about it, I just be like, oh, I read the blue book this month. And so next, you know, for the month of December, I'm reading the orange book, but y'all know the titles. So I read the blue book this month, and yeah, I mean, I've already read it, 5 stars again. It just, like I said, it's still the perfect like little filler book between we're not gonna say ties, between the pink book and the orange book. I don't know why I love saying the color books now, but yeah, like, you know, after everything that we experienced in A Court of Wings and Ruin, it's, you know, the perfect little breather. You get I forgot that like we get it from like almost everyone's point of view. Like, I honestly forgot that, and that was like so nice to see again. And I'm so ready for A Court of Silver Flames, because Cassian. But yeah, I mean, that's all I can say about this one. Like I said, y'all already know my thoughts. Baby, me and Akatar go bad together, so are we really surprised? Okay, but the next book I got was actually an ARC, and it is out now. It came out like December 3rd or 4th, I think. But y'all already know how bad I ride for this world, but it is part of the Lancaster New Generation, and it is Keep Me in Your Heart by Monica Murphy. And y'all, this was like probably one of the most, like, I think that she took a risk with this book. I think that, you know, that she probably stepped out of her comfort zone with this one, because the main female character was so different than like all her other books. Whereas the main female character is like this cute little dainty innocent girl. Even if she got a little sass to her, like, you know, she's still just like, you know, she's just like this picturesque innocent thing. At least that's the vibe she gives. Baby, this female character here, nah, absolutely not one bit. But I actually really liked her. I liked her. You have Rowan and what's her name, Arabella. So Rowan is actually Crew and Rand's son, and we actually meet him in the first book with their daughter's book, with Willow's book. But yes, so he is the main male character. He is the Lancaster of this book, and Arabella is one of the girls at his school. Obviously, you all know this happens at Lancaster Prep. And she is very much outgoing. She defies the rules, and it all stems from her parents just not being active in her life. You know, they send her off to school, and that's, you know, she may hear from them, may not, and it's just, you know, she wonders why her parents really had her. And so she's always found Rowan interesting, and I just loved her confidence. And like I said, it was just very different from all the other characters, whereas Rowan was more so like the laid back one, and it was like she more so had to pursue him versus the other way around, and I ate it up. I ate it up. Like I said, it was very different. I can tell that Monica stepped out of her comfort zone with this one. It's just very not, it's least stepped out of her comfort zone as far as like characteristics is what I will say. Because I mean the plot, like it's still, you know, the romance of Lancaster prep and all of that still the same, but I'm gonna eat it up every time. I'm gonna eat it up every single time. So I gave that one a 3.75, but rounded up to a 4 on Goodreads because we can't do a 3.75 on Goodreads. But like I said, enjoyed it. Definitely, if you are invested in the Lancaster world and if you are interested in seeing the children, I definitely recommend that you read it. We also get some news in that one about other characters, like their other cousin, and I'm here for it. I was here for it, you know. Okay, last but finally not least, the book that y'all, I thought I was gonna read this book like in a week time span, and that did not work. This book I had to take at like 50 pages a day, and even then I wasn't reading it every day because the emotions that this book pulled out of me was just insane. And I don't know why I thought any less after seeing everybody's reviews with this book, but I just somehow thought I was not gonna be that impacted. But y'all, your girl was down bad. But it is The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna, and I cannot wait to pick up another one of her books. I don't know if I'm gonna be wrecked by it, but you know, I think I may pick up Firefly Lane next because I really want to watch the show on Netflix with it. I keep seeing it being advertised on my Netflix profile, so I'm like, Jasmine, you need to read Firefly Lane. So but yeah, if you have not heard about this book, I'm going to tell you about it. So this is a book that focuses on World War II, specifically the Holocaust era, of like the World War II. Like obviously World War II, you know, that's majority of World War II, but it focuses on Paris during that time. And so one thing that I really enjoyed about this book, obviously it is fiction, so like the characters aren't real, but it is historical fiction, so the historical events are real. And I think like that made it hit so much harder. It's because it's like, oh, like even though the storyline isn't real, like these events, like they're real. I mean, if you learned about it in school, you can kind of, you know, you can kind of grasp like this was probably very close to reality for a lot of people. And so I just really enjoyed that. This does focus on two sisters, and one sister is married and her husband gets sent to war, because at that time, or in this country, every male that was eligible had to leave home and basically go fight in a war. And so she is forced to stay there with her daughter and her sister, who is like literally just became the legal age. I think she just turned 18, and she is kicked out of one of her, I don't know if you would call it a boarding school. I forgot what they call it in the book, but essentially it is like kind of like a boarding school. But she ends up getting kicked out of the boarding school, and this is not her first time getting kicked out of the boarding school. She has just like never been a fan of it, never been a fan of like the training that they try to do. Like around this time, it's a lot of like women training, so like, oh, how to hold your forks and stuff like that. And it was just like, you know, nobody want to learn that stuff, especially at 18 years old. That's the last thing on your mind. And so she was just like, no, and so her deepest craving is to just be able to go home and like for her dad to like want her there. Their mother did pass, and so that kind of is what led them into being raised in boarding schools. But yeah, so she's like, I'm gonna leave, and hopefully, you know, this time my dad will recognize me and will allow me to stay, and we can build a relationship that, you know, that they've always wanted. So that she gets there and it does not work out that way. And her dad's like, you know, I'm gonna send you with your sister. Obviously he knows, like, you know, the time of the war is coming. Their dad fought in the Great War, so like he has a lot of trauma with that, which is another reason like he just wasn't present for his two daughters. But he's like, yeah, I'm sending you to your sisters, so like you can be safe as possible during this war. Like the area that she stays in, you know, is like better than like I guess what he could provide her at the time, since he was actually in Paris. And she's like, no, I want to be a change maker. I want to be somebody who makes a difference during this war. So she is very much the type she is like, she's not playing it safe. She is not playing it safe, whereas the other sister that got the daughter, she's playing it safe. And I totally get it from her. I got it from both point of views, which I think is what made this book so much more intense, is because you truly do understand. You got to see how both of their minds work, and you got to see why each of them were doing what they were doing. But then also, like, looking at it as a whole, you're like, you get mad at some of the characters. I'm not gonna lie, you get a little mad at some of the characters, and you know, it's just, there's so much depth to this book, and you can just tell that Kristen Hanna like really like poured her all into this book, and it is so appreciated. Literally, like I said, it makes it even more impactful that you know that these events were real. Like I said, you know the characters are fictional, you know, like this, but it's like you also know like this scenario probably truly did happen to somebody, and so that would make, that's, I think, is what makes it even more emotional. But yeah, like I said, I had to read this one in little chunks a day, and I couldn't even read it every day. And once I finished, I had to be kind to myself, you know. I just had to get some fresh air. You know, I had to like put down a book for a day or two, and yeah, but overall I do not regret reading this book. I loved it. Literally, like I said, 5 stars. I have no like critiques on this book. I wouldn't change anything about this book, except for the characters who made me mad, but you know, that's what makes the book the book. So yeah, if you are interested in it, and I have never read historical fiction, I always thought I wouldn't like it, but I'm so glad this was my first one that I read, because now your girl is actually very interested in finding more historical fiction books. So if you are a historical fiction girly, male, let me know down in the comments. Give me some recommendations, because I want to read more. I want to read more, you know. But yeah, so those are the books that I read in November. Like I told y'all, December, we're gonna see how it go, because I'm reading Foxglove, which is the second book in like the Belladonna world, and your girl got through 1 chapter last night, and that's the first book I've read since December has started. So yeah, we're gonna see how this goes. But yeah, I want to thank you guys for watching. Make sure you hit that like button, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and like I said, leave a comment. Let me know, give me some book recommendations, give me some book video ideas. What do you guys want to see? And yeah, that's pretty much it. But thank you guys for sticking out, hearing me yap about these books, and let me know your favorite book of the month. But yeah, I love you guys, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.
I've been talking